Just hit record. Yeah, we'll do whatever the fuck we want to. Okay, this is our show.
That's true. It was like every day though.
That's a great opening line. Yeah. Whatever the fuck we want, that's what we do. Within, reasonable. We're reasonable people.
Yeah.
We're the reasonablest. Yes. Yeah. Hi.
Hi everybody.
Are you ready to do this thing?
Yeah, I'm
How's
ready.
It going?
I'm very excited for
ready?
Today's topic, so I'm all ears.
On Tin Hat Time.
It's Tin Hat Time.
Welcome,
Yay.
you guys. It is indeed. It is Tin Hat Time.
Put on your tin hats.
Which I didn't make my tinfoil hat once again.
I know we keep talking about
make a tinfoil hat.
We talk about doing that for all the.
It's the name of our goddamn podcast, and we've never put a tinfoil hat on. And I have one that I have made. And
that's commitment.
I've worn it without recording. Yeah. I wore it while I was researching because it felt right.
That does feel right. Does it look like? I should have
taken a fucking picture, man.
Does it look like one of like the Sims ones?
I just took a piece of tinfoil and I had it out flat and I folded it over at the to a little 1/4 inch kind of a little headband, if you will. Then I wrapped it around my head and I was like, and we'll connect that together. And then I just crinkled it up into a cone.
Yeah,
around my head. And I felt like a crazy person who is 33 years old and was doing Bizarro Land arts and crafts. And you know what? I like me. Yeah. I'm having a good time.
Yeah. You should just take a picture and post it to the Instagram.
I really should have. I unfortunately still have a molecule of shame floating around in my brain that I haven't managed to squeeze out yet. So I realized that maybe I shouldn't take pictures while my eyes were that bloodshot either.
That's fair. That's fair. Maybe other people can send us pictures of them in tinfoil hats. So that would be fun.
Oh my God, yes. Make yourself a tinfoil hat and send us a picture of it and we will put you on our Instagram. I swear to God.
That would be really fun.
Oh, real quick shout out, by the way, before we get started. Big thank you to Night Owl Studios in Boise for sending us some nice words and being all cool and nice and stuff.
Yeah, thanks guys. That was really cool.
Yeah.
So
thank you guys a lot.
Love feedback and really any feedback at all about our podcast is well received, even if it's
and they
criticism.
were nice with their feedback too, which was great. Yeah, if you wanted to just put a message in there that said, "Why are you ladies talking? Ew," I'll still read it on the podcast. I'm just gonna
I think ratings
be rude about you afterwards.
Technically help us, like on Apple and stuff. Like if they leave a review, I think it still kind of boosts us, even if it's a negative review. I don't know. It's more engagement.
I mean, I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, thank you, Night Owl Studios in Boise. Yeah, looking forward to coming over and checking that out. But yeah, so today I wanted to continue my summer series on aliens. And I wanted to go back to the very beginning.
Oh.
Hang on. I want my microphone to stand up correctly.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to talk about aliens. Where is the beginning?
Yeah, so
when is the beginning?
The beginning for me for this series is one of the first major abduction stories to have ever come out, which is the story of Betty and Barney Hill, or the Hill abduction incident.
Okay.
So this takes place in New Hampshire in 1961. And so a little bit about them first is that Betty and Barney Hill were a married couple. And it's not that unusual, except for in 1960, Barney was a black man and Betty was a white woman. So they were in an interracial marriage in the 60s in the United States. So they were already dealing with a lot of bullshit all day, every day.
Yeah.
They both held degrees from higher in I don't remember what. They were highly educated and intelligent people, i.e. very credible witnesses. Barney, even though he had these degrees and he was educated and stuff, couldn't find a job in his field, being a black man in the 60s. So he ended up working for the post office. His wife, Betty, was a social worker. and both of them were members of the local Unitarian Church Congress, or what do you call that?
Congregation.
Congression?
Congregate.
No. Congregation. That's it. Yeah, I'm good at church.
Congress.
No, I'm not.
Wrong Congress.
Yeah, it's the church Congress. That's what. No,
I mean,
congregation.
I mean,
congregation, Congress, like it sounds like
but
it's gotta have the same root word, dude.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it's like congregation, I think, has a root in Congress. God, there must be some.
The same. It's gotta have the same root word. Like,
anywho,
if anybody out there is Jesus Christ, am I having a stroke?
Maybe.
Jesus. Okay,
we might.
We're just gonna keep going. So I don't smell any toast.
I think it's that delay.
And I can see myself in my, it's probably the delay. Yeah, but my face isn't, we're good. So we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going, people.
Keep talking about Betty.
So they're both members of the, yeah, you just stop.
I just said Barney. Keep talking about Betty and Barney. Yeah. I just thought it was the delay. Oh, okay. I don't know. Keep going. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. We're good at this today, you guys. So they were both members of the NAACP. They were both community leaders, and Barney sat on a local United States Commission on Civil Rights. He sat on the board for them. And on the night of September 19th in 1961, sometime around 10:30, they were driving back from a little vacation in Montreal and Niagara Falls. And they were on US Route 3 south of Lancaster. Lancaster. So they're driving, and it's pretty late at night. It's like, why were they out that late? And that's like, I thought about it, I was like, oh, there's probably a good chance that there weren't safe places for an interracial couple to stop.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night, like along the road, because there was like, this was like back in the Green Book times. Like, that's not still current, whatever.
Their marriage, I mean, potentially could have still been illegal, depending on what state they were in too. So it might not have been legitimately recognized. So,
or it may not have been safe for them to stop anywhere. Maybe they just wanted to get home. So it's Betty, Barney, and their little dachshund Delsey. And they're all in the car together, and they're driving, and Betty looks up and she sees a shooting star. But don't shooting stars usually go down? She thinks to herself, whereas this one started from under the moon and then went up above the moon. And she's like, Barney, did you see that? And he says, yeah, Betty, what was that? Oh, that's weird, honey. And then they pulled over, and she said, stop the car. We got to let Delsey out, go potty anyway. I don't know why she's Southern and sounds like Grant, but she does. So they get out and they potty Delsey. And then there's no more information on the dog. That's it. That's all we get. We don't know what happens to Delsey on this extremely eventful evening. They never mention him again, and I'll give you my speculation on what happened to Delsey.
What happens to them, though?
To Delsey, the dog?
No, I don't give a shit about the dog.
No, we'll get to it, and then you'll understand.
I don't care about the dog.
Just so you know, this is the last we hear of the dog.
Okay.
You monster. All I could think about was like, what happens to this goddamn dachshund? They didn't tell us anything else about it. Like, I'm flipping through like, where's Delsey?
The dog gets to live free until he gets snatched by an eagle.
No, he was a big dachshund. He wasn't a mini one. He was one of the proper sized ones. There's some pictures of him.
I mean,
I got into the dog. I did a lot of research into what happened to this dog.
A cougar got him?
Stop. There's no cougars in New Hampshire.
Okay.
Stop. So that's it. Okay. We have no more. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So Barney looks at it and he figures, okay, it's got to be a plane, right? It's a plane. But he's like, I don't know, Barney. I just don't know about that. And so they get in the car and they start to drive off, and then it descends rapidly and starts following them like a big ass glowing pancake. And Barney feels like compelled to stop. And this huge silent craft, it like hovers above the car, and they they see I'm so sorry, I just lost my place on my list. I've written so many things in just tiny little script. So it reminded me of like pancakes. So Barney picks up his pistol and he puts it into his pocket and he puts his binoculars on and he sees 8 to 11 humanoid figures looking out of the crafts windows. And all but one of them in unison turn away. And the one that stays looking at them, Barney feels he said it was like a transference. He wasn't familiar with the term telepathic, but like a telepathic message in his brain that said like, stay where you are. Continue, don't look at us. Stay there. And he
I like how you took on
the fuck out.
It's like the Coneheads accent.
Perhaps. Yes. I didn't even think of that. Shut up. And so Barney freaks the fuck out. And he's nearly hysterical and he runs back to the car just repeating, they're going to capture us. They're going to capture us. They're going to capture us. And he tears off and he tells Betty to keep her eye on the sky and keep looking out for the thing that's out there. And immediately they see it and it's like following over them. And then like he's once again compelled to turn off the road and stop and say, see this big glowing orb. And then nothing.
Wait, did they get out of their car?
All fuzzy. They get all fuzzy, weird feeling in their car. They hear a bunch of like ting, bing, bing, bing. Car vibrates. They feel all tingly. Nothing. Fade, fizzly, fade. And then they come to, and they're 35 miles south of where they had been. They're in the car. No mention of Delsey. They're in the car and they're like, how did we end up here? The car's running just fine now. What happened? What? And so they just like get home and like the trip should have taken them 5 hours and it took them like 9 hours. And there was no reason for it to have. And so like they got home and they're just like, they had all these weird impulses. Like Barney just felt like dirty and like he went and like got in the shower and scrubbed himself and it said like that he was compelled to like look himself all over and to like check his genitals and stuff because he felt like weirdly violated. And Betty's dress had been ripped at the zipper and like in the lining and like at the hem, and it was a nice dress. And the shoes that Barney had worn had like, because they'd been like visiting, they were like on a vacation. It was the 60s. People fucking dressed up for that shit then. They cared. So he had on like his really nice shoes, like shoes that he kept like in spick span, like nice condition, you know, like it seemed like they were both very like snappy, like appearance forward kind of people. Like their clothes were all fucked up. His nice shoes were all scuffed up. And they get back to the house. And after that, neither of their watches ever worked again. Betty had this weird feeling she didn't want to bring the luggage that had been in the trunk of the car where like the dings and buzzes had happened. She didn't want to bring it into the house. She left it like in the back room and like felt like it was contaminated or something like that. And they took a compass outside to the car and there were these concentric circles, like perfectly round circles that were just a little bit shinier on the back of the car. And when they ran a compass over it, like the needle would just spin.
Oh.
And so they were like, okay. And Betty's like, Barney, something happened to us. And Barney's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Please stop. So he went into a pretty hard, no, thank you. No.
Just denial.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it ended up breaking a 10-year sober streak.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, it's like, that's what I say, like, this one's not like a full-fledged bummer, except for like when you think about like Barney Hill as a person, like he was pretty wrecked by this. It was an extremely traumatic experience that they both went through and then couldn't remember.
Yeah.
And at first. And yeah, dude. So Betty starts having these dreams. And she's having dreams where she's being led to this place and being told to sit in a stool, and then she's being examined. And Barney is concerned for her, you know, for his wife. and whatever. And it's like, you know, things like this isn't great, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Like she's clearly super upset, and it's 1962-ish at this point, and so I'm not upset because of my penis. Because men aren't allowed to be upset. They can't have feelings.
No
They
feelings
certainly
at all.
can't be afraid.
No.
No,
Not at all. You're supposed to stuff them deep down and pretend they don't exist
they
at all.
can't be vulnerable or unsure, not for a moment. Which is just such bullshit.
Unacceptable.
How dare they? But hang on.
So there's like a gap in time, right?
So there's a gap in time.
They don't remember stuff.
Yes, and
the dog is missing.
So they've done a few. No, the dog's not actually missing. Just nobody ever bothers to bring Delsey up again. And it's just like, you know, some of us out here care about the narrative. We'd like to know what happened to the dog.
So how much time were they actually missing then?
They were missing about 3 hours. So the ufologists call this missing time. I call it being a blackout drunk in my mid-20s, because I have plenty of incidences of what ufologists would classify as missing time. And it's just like, oh man, I knew where I was there. And then 5 hours later, here I suddenly was laying on my bathroom floor. And
how did I get home? I have no idea.
How did I get here? Yeah, exactly. And then go out into the living room. There's Kevin, all irritated.
Yeah. Kevin.
Yeah. Oh, Kevin. Hi, Kevin. So they decide that they're going to look into hypnosis. And so there's this guy who came to their church. So like, let me back up for a second. So they came out to their church and were like, something happened to us. We were abducted. And Barney's like, Betty clearly needs to talk about this. I'm fine. He was still really like in a hardcore denial, and he couldn't remember it.
Yeah.
Like he had like a big mental block up, a huge wall. And he said like, there's a wall there. There's something in there that my brain does not want me to remember. But Betty was just like, I'm going to remember this. God damn it. I don't know if it like what it is about her as a person. She's like a spunky little fighter. Like she said, she almost got into a fist fight with these creatures and she was like, hell no, I'm not going without a fight. And I'll get into the whole thing when we get into their regression therapy.
Came out to their church.
So they talked to their church. They talked to the church, and this guy was coming to the church to do a speaker, Captain Ben H. Sweat of the United States Air Force. And he had an interest in hypnosis. And so the Hills approached him later, and then they were like, hey man, some weird shit happened to us. Would you be into hypnotizing us so we could get to the bottom of this? And he was like, you should absolutely do some hypnosis. It should not be done by me. I am an amateur. So
that's cool.
He's like, you don't want me fucking around in your brain. It sounds like some messed up shit happened in there. Right? Yeah. Good man. Good job. Good job, dude. Yeah. So they had let me find his name. Okay, so there was this psychiatrist, Dr. Stevens, that Barney Hill was going to, and he found, because this is like a modern ass couple.
Okay.
In the 60s, you know, they're like going to therapy and stuff like that. He's aware that he has his blocks up. He's trying to help his wife. Like, he's like, she clearly needs to talk, like find some way to get past these dreams and like this disturbing ass nonsense.
Got to get it resolved.
So, you know, right, exactly. Like, he's not trying to just like push it all the way down and be like, this didn't happen, blah. So they end up going to Dr. Simon. Let me find his first name. Benjamin Simon of Boston. And they did some hypnotherapy on them. And in them, Barney recalled a lot of it, like all of it. And it was a really traumatic, like invasive examination. Like, this case is where we get all of the tropey bullshit of alien examinations, but this man remembered what happened to him. And it was, the face that you're making is appropriate. But the hypnotherapist Stevens was like, we're not going to let you remember the therapy. Like, he was recording it, and I listened to some of the recordings, and it was deeply upsetting. Like, this poor fucking guy.
Yeah.
I was like screaming, and then the therapist like, okay, in 3, 2, 1, like, come on back, dude. Like, no, sorry.
Yeah.
So like he remembered being brought into the room, being examined, having a cup like put over his genitals, and like knowing that they were taking a semen sample, although it says he did not experience orgasm. So yeah, that's important to note. Sure.
Just vacuumed it out of him.
Pretty much, yeah.
Sounds painful.
So like basically, if you have an orifice, they stuck something in it. So yeah.
That's awful.
Betty and Bart, like, so for part of this thing, yeah, it's pretty terrible. So for part of it, like what they did before they went to the therapist was that they sat down separately from each other, Betty and Barney did, and they drew what they saw and what they remembered, like from their dreams and like from like that night and stuff like that, and like basically like wrote out like their own, like away from each other, like this is what I remember. You go over there and you write yours. I'm going to go over here and write mine.
We'll compare notes.
And they were the same.
Yeah.
They had the same experience.
Yeah.
Like the details of what happened to Betty versus what happened to Barney were subtly different.
Yeah.
But not by a lot. Like they both of them experienced having samples taken and like skin scraped off of them, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Onto what looked to be cellophane, that sort of thing. So like all of this shit is coming out in their hypnotherapy sessions. And yeah, they
Terrifying.
basically like the therapist came, yeah, dude. And it seemed to help though. It seemed to help them both. Because like afterward, because before they went, they were extremely paranoid. Like they were going through like deep, like they call it abduction trauma. Like they were just going through like deep, crazy paranoia. Like, ow, I just banged my knee again. Balls, that really hurt.
I'm sorry.
But like everything, I know, it just really, really hurt.
But I'm sure telling their story and like getting that confirmation was probably really helpful. I mean, that's what they were say always in therapy. So, you know, you got to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And as somebody who's been in therapy, talking about, guess what, you guys, it helps.
Yeah.
Doing the old Irish thing of just shoving it down and putting a potato on top is not healthy or sane.
Go to therapy. It's good for you.
But they, yeah. So Betty wholeheartedly 100% believed in what she said during hypnosis, that it was true and that the dreams that happened to her were true. Barney was like, yeah, I think, yeah, okay, fine, it happened. You're not wrong. Fine, it happened. It happened. Is that what you wanted to hear?
Yeah.
I don't know if he was that angry about it, but I'm sure at some point somebody put a fist through the wall. God knows I would have. And the doctor believed that they went through something traumatic happened to them, and that they had both sort of had a shared psychosis, sort of a deal to like replace the actual thing with this other incident, which has been known to happen, is that some people will replace like childhood trauma with like, nope, I was abducted by aliens. That's why I don't remember any of that.
Yeah, but like 3 hours missing in time on like one single trip. Like what happened? Right, did they get mugged?
Oh, like, yeah, no, for sure. I do not agree with this doctor. Like, right?
It's just like really strange circumstances.
And like this was not a like, and it was in the middle of the woods, in the middle of fucking nowhere in New Hampshire.
They actually saw Sasquatch or like the Mothman or something. Like that's what they actually saw.
Yeah, it was phalians.
Maybe
a new term I came up with today and I'm really excited about.
Maybe the men in black abducted them. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe the government abducted them. Should I save that for wild speculation?
That on a later date. Yeah, for sure. Basically, they both remember pretty much the same thing happening. They would describe the same craft as being like long, like kind of like cigar pancake shaped, like cigar shape, but like you could tell like it like dipped out, you know, kind of a deal. With like little bat-like wings, like little fins on the end of it. They described the same humanoid passengers who looked like people but weren't people, like they couldn't be human, but there they were. And Barney said that like all he could remember it from them with their eyes, and it felt like their eyes were inside of him.
That's
and like he didn't know if the eyes were even attached to anything. He could just see the eyes like over and over and over him. So Barney also said that he kept his eyes closed during the examination and when he was being brought onto the ship and stuff. Like during regression hypnotherapy, he remembered that like he's like I couldn't look, I couldn't open my eyes. And Betty kept her eyes open and observed everything, and like I said, was trying to like fist fight these motherfuckers.
Yeah, good for her.
Maybe that's why her dress got all ripped. Yeah. But she said that they communicated calmly and efficiently in English, and that they weren't trying to hurt her.
Okay.
Because during the examination at one point, they took a large needle and like kind of poked it into her navel, into her belly button. And when she reacted with pain, like went, ah, he like waved a hand over her eyes and like all of her pain disappeared and she felt calm.
Oh, that's weird.
So like, yeah. And like to me in that state's like oh no, oops, sorry baby. Oh no, I hurt the little skin pig. Oh no.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's my favorite voice. Okay, go on.
I know. I love you so much. But yeah, over the years, they shut the fuck up, dude. Over the years, they just continued to
I kind of like. I wish I could. All right, go on.
I'm so a scared pig. No. Over the years, thank you. They continued to kind of low key talk about their thing. They were public about it. Like they weren't like trying to get publicity or anything like that.
Yeah.
There were a couple of books written. They were down to talk to ufologists when they showed up, or people who were like, hey, what happened that night? Their story never changed.
Yeah.
They were, like I said, they were down to talk to people. And Betty's niece, actually, let me double check her name because I just forgot it. Hang on.
Was it Pebbles?
Okay, so their niece Kathleen Martin.
It's a Flintstones joke.
I wasn't listening to you.
Their niece was named Pebbles. Maybe their son was named Bam Bam. It's Betty and Barney. Flintstone jokes. Okay, so their niece. Anywho, their niece.
Their niece, Kathleen Martin, founded the Mutual UFO Network. MUFON.
Oh.
It was founded by Betty and Barney Hill's niece.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was pretty influential then.
And yeah, Kathleen was quite close. What?
It was a pretty influential, like, story then for her niece to be like, yeah, this shit's real.
Oh, God. Yeah. This is one of the biggest ones that people point to because it's, I mean, there's refutations. People like try to say it didn't happen, but I'm not here for that. You know, I didn't come here for your bullshit. I came here to talk about how they were taken.
We have our tin hats on, so we think everything's real currently.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
When we remove our hats, you're allowed to think whatever you want.
In this shit, that and like, you know, I don't know. I believe Betty and Barney. I really do. I think it was real. So this is where the story also gets kind of like Bummersville here, where Barney died in 1969 of a cerebral hemorrhage.
Oh.
So yeah. So like 5 years later, less than like 4.5 years later.
Wow.
He died. Betty lived until 2004.
Oh, shit. Okay.
She was like in her 80s. She never married again.
Oh, love of her life, huh?
Yeah, they were like in love and stuff. And it like people who knew them before and after said that Barney was never quite the same after that night.
Yeah.
That he came back from Montreal a different person, and like it just never never fully recovered.
That's a really traumatic
from
thing,
it.
so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Jesus, very invasive and awful. And he, it was the 60s and he was a Black man. He wasn't allowed to seek help, and like he wouldn't have been accepted into places where, whatever, it's fine. No, it's not.
Well, it's not. It's definitely not
therapy,
fine.
boys.
But it's a time period in history, and unfortunately, it's a reality that we live in.
Yep.
Right. So.
Yeah. But yeah, Betty. She was always very open with it. She almost threw away that dress, but then she decided to keep it. And it's that. Yeah.
Did she ever wash it?
Display. No. And it was examined by a bunch of different laboratories. And then I don't remember, there were so many chemical names mentioned afterwards that I just went, but basically they were inconclusive. Everything's inconclusive. It always is. Well, if there was anything conclusive, they're not going to give it to us. I mean, it's been fucking decades. Can we have the fucking blue book files yet? For fuck's sake.
Well, I would just also assume,
I don't think that disclosure ever happened.
Any lab stuff back in the day probably would have been pretty shitty. And if it went to enough labs, it would be contaminated like over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So like based on like,
I'd agree with that.
They're probably just like, man, you don't have to wear gloves. You can just rub it on your face to smell.
Right. I'm just going to lick it. It's not, well, Jesus Christ, dude, that was happening in like 1993.
Yeah, I know.
I've watched so many true crime things where I'm just like, put on your goddamn gloves. Holy shit, people.
Or maybe our just education system needs to get better. So, but that's a totally different commentary.
Yeah, well, that too. That's Jesus. Yeah, let's talk about that after we talk about aliens.
Okay. Continuing on.
But yeah, so I think that's all I have room for today. Like, this was just like a gloss over. There is a shit ton of information, including like a star map that Betty memorized and like redrew because like the aliens on board were like, "Oh, would you like to see our books?" And she was like, "Oh my God, you have books? I love books." She was like, "Yeah, check it out. You can keep it." And then the leader was like, "She absolutely may not keep it. Jesus Christ, Orb."
But you're such a strong alien, man.
Right? And yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, apparently one of them did offer her a book. She was like, "Oh, cool, thank you." Yeah. And then they were like, "No, they're not allowed to remember." And she's like, she's like, "You guys can do whatever the fuck you want to me. I'm gonna remember this." Yeah. Except for Betty was a classy lady, and she definitely didn't say the F word, like me, because I'm trash.
Yeah, you know. Fuck it.
But yeah, that's it. I mostly just wanted to talk a bit about Betty and Barney Hill today.
That's a cool story, though.
Yeah.
Did she ever?
Say again.
Did she ever have anything like happen after that? Like any other visitations or anything weird that ever happened in her lifetime?
She said that she saw UFOs of the same ilk that she had seen before a couple more times. Mm-hmm. But that was after Barney had died as well. So he never saw anything again. And I wonder if it didn't kill him, like the hemorrhage, like
something
just
happened.
Like the stress or just the stress of it. And like he had physical issues for the rest of his life. There were, I wasn't going to bring it up, but there were also those weird concentric circles on his penis.
Oh, ouch.
In like warts. So like weird stuff happened to him.
Yeah.
He got fucked up pretty badly.
Oh, shit.
And like he didn't want to go to the doctors. He didn't want to go to the officials. And he didn't want to, I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
61? No way. You don't want to talk to, no.
Get locked up forever.
Yeah, for real. And like even Betty said that when she called the Air Force Base to be like, was anything happening out there that night? She left out a lot of like her experience because she didn't want to be just thrown into the loony pile. Yeah, so it's another one of those things where, these instances are not taken seriously. They're immediately shuffled off to the side and decided that they're bullshit or it's not real. It's like, that's why like we think of getting probed as like such a big joke and like that only loonies and whatever get abducted. But like these were two very reputable, educated upstanding members of their church and their community, and like they
Normal
had no
people.
reason to lie. No reason. Why lie? Like, this ruined their lives in so many ways. And like, or it changed the course of what it was. Like, their lives like were forever altered after this experience. So like, why would you make it up?
Yeah, like there's no reason for it. They didn't have a history of it. Yeah, it's wild.
And even the psychologist, the hypnotherapist psychologist who didn't necessarily believe that they had been abducted, believed that they believed they had. He said, whether or not it happened, they are telling the truth according to them.
Yeah.
Like, they are telling the truth. This is what they think happened to them. It is deep in there. And he's like, I don't know. I think that they're sharing a delusion. But I also think that like sometimes people just can't accept that there's something else going on, that, you know, that everything has to have an answer. It has to be scientific. It has to be reasonable. It has to fit into a specific little box. And not everything fits in those little boxes, you know? Like, there's just shit that's out there that we can't quite explain. And this is one.
Yeah, but having that unexplained stuff doesn't make people feel safe, right? When you have science to explain things, people feel safer. So, I mean,
one
of those things.
Yeah.
Can we
wildly
crazy? Can we wildly speculate?
Yeah. Oh,
now?
Yeah. Absolutely, speculate. Sorry, I thought we'd already transitioned into that. It's time for some wild ass speculation.
I think I inhaled some of my coffee.
Coffee, yes.
No, I think it went down the wrong pipe.
You're making a great face.
Anywho, do you think that they were taken by the government? Do you think there was anything out there that like they just?
I think that they were I think that what they told us happened to them.
I'm surprised. Like, isn't it like normal with like abductees and all that they have a false memory? You know, where it's like,
I mean, maybe.
You know, like
maybe, but I don't think that the government is possible of putting it in there.
You know, like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. The government tries to keep itself away from this kind of shit.
It's probably an alien coming for you.
I thought, stop, dude.
Oh my gosh, is that a cone-shaped man?
Please stop. Like, I am house sitting currently, and I heard a sound in a house that's not mine, and I think, okay, it's fine. Yeah. Well, if I get murdered, we're being recorded, so
see, you know, there you go. It's perfect.
Yeah, so we're fine.
Yeah, we have that evidence, so I can see that that mirror in the background. So
I think it was just a bird flew by in the back and like made a shadow happen, and it just startled me because I'm easily startled. Yeah.
Circling back to Betty and Barney though, did they have a history of like drug use or anything? I know you said that Barney had a substance abuse issue, but he was an alcoholic or something.
But it was the 60s.
Yeah.
And like he stopped drinking like 10-15 years prior to this. Like they were already middle-aged at this point. They're already in their 40s. So like if he had a drinking problem back in his 20s and like stopped drinking, you know, that's one thing. But they were, like I said, quote unquote upstanding citizens, as you were. Like there was nothing that was, they weren't delinquents.
They're pretty straight edge.
Yeah, they weren't known liars. They were known to be trustworthy people. Like there was nothing that I found anywhere that had anything negative to say about them.
No double life.
Nothing weird going on. No, just regular average Joes who just got abducted by aliens on their drive home.
Damn.
Yeah. I think I'm going to name my next dog Delsey though, because that's a cute ass name.
It is a cute name.
And that's a deep cut nerd.
I mean, I will say now that I know the whole story, it would be interesting to know what happened to the dog. If the dog had any fucking weird trauma, you know, where it's like,
that's what I'm saying is what happened to that dog?
Delsey never wanted to go outside at night again.
Delsey just sat like this for the rest of his life.
Right? Just shaking in the corner sort of a thing. Like, I mean, that would be an interesting thing.
I mean, that would also just kind of be a dachshund.
That's true.
Yeah. But like I'm curious, what happened to Delsey, poor Pippi? Was he brought up onto the spacecraft? Did they take him with him because those ears were so goddamn cute?
Did the dog disappear that night?
Look at his little ears.
Can you even if the dog ever was found or survived it or whatever?
His legs are short, but his body is long.
I feel like, though, if the dog was missing, that would have been included in the story. That would have been
like part of it. Yeah, they just didn't care that I'm a crazy animal person. It's like, but you need to tell me what happened to the dog or I'm not going to be able to settle down.
Yeah, but that was also back during a time when, like, I don't know, nobody really gave a shit about dogs. So, I mean, depending on where you live too, sometimes people just don't really care about dogs. I don't know, man.
People cared about their dogs. They just cared about them differently. And still loved your dogs. You know,
you loved your dog.
Yeller had just, think about the book Old Yeller. You know, that's like in the ye olden Yeller times.
I don't know. I think it was
and he still loved Yeller.
I don't know.
Just shoot him.
Yeah.
You know.
He still shot his dog. So
yeah. I mean, this dog that I'm dog sitting has having a better childhood than I did. Like, certainly more pampered. Like, I love you guys. I love my parents and my family out there who are listening. But this dog has every possible thing that it could want. And then but you pointed it out though that I had a better childhood for a dog. So
yeah, you got
to
run
around in the woods,
run free,
unsupervised.
So, yeah,
it was a lot of fun. Yeah. And I only got ringworm like twice.
Only twice. So that's reasonable. Such a reasonable number of times.
For an Appalachian childhood, that's actually pretty good.
It only happened after you ate dog shit. But I mean, you just were curious about what it was in the woods. And you're like, nom, nom, nom. I'm a wild child. So
that's not at all my lived experience.
You're like, what are these berries that are on the ground?
No.
Ground berries.
Megan, I'm not you. I'm good at being in the woods.
Hey, I'm good at being in the woods too.
How goddamn dare you? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you?
I know. Everybody already knows that story. You already told that story. So everybody knows about me getting lost in the woods. But I wasn't lost for very long. I came back to the truck, so I was fine.
Re-listen to our Missing 411 episode if you want to hear me yell at Megan for being terrible in the woods, because she's really bad at it. But yeah,
I didn't die, so I feel like I was pretty successful.
It's actually that's a pretty good bar to set.
Like, that's
you didn't die.
Correct. So I would say A for effort. So woohoo.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a good story though this week.
Yeah, I have some fun other stories that I want to kind of go over with you a little bit this summer with everybody out there listening along.
Yes. Yeah. I'm excited to hear more alien stuff. So
yeah, I love alien stuff, and it also simultaneously scares the motherfuck out of me. I'm terrified of the concept of being abducted by aliens. I'm so scared of looking up and like seeing the thing up there that like I would so much rather deal with ghosts.
Really?
Oh God, yeah, easily. I would much rather deal with like a possible poltergeist or like an evil spirit in the corner. Much rather deal with that than an alien abduction sequence. Yeah, for sure.
Oh man,
because
I think
the ghost in the corner is not going to stick anything in my butt.
You know, I don't know. I think the alien stuff's interesting. Maybe because I like have that feeling of just like maybe one of them's going to be like Doctor Who, and we'll just like let's go explore space and time.
Right. You know? Not like I'm not afraid of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I'll totally be like, yes, Doctor. Let's get in that TARDIS. What do you say? What?
You made it sexual. It's not supposed to be sexual. It's just the doctor. It's like sort of
tell that to Rose Tyler.
Yeah, okay. But like it was never confirmed. Like it was like
okay, all right.
He's 900 years old.
Yeah, he bones for sure. He's got to. He would die. He's 900 years old.
Okay, but really, when you think about it, boning a 20-something-year-old would be weird if you're 900. That's like a baby.
If you're 900 years old, at that point, the age difference doesn't matter anymore because there's nobody old enough for you to bone. So you should bone people who seem to be in the general age range that you're like pretending to still be in.
I love this argument.
Well, I'm just saying is if Peter Capaldi's Doctor Who was trying to get with Rose Tyler, I would be like, all right, no, thank you. But David Tennant's Doctor Who. Yes, please.
Only because he looks younger. That's ageist.
I don't care. It feels less creepy. Peter Capaldi has like nice, like Scottish great uncle vibes. David Tennant has, he's skinny and I wonder what he'd do with it kind of vibes.
And this is the moment to remind you, your dad listens to this podcast.
No, I told him to stop. I told him I would tell him which episodes he could listen to.
This is not one of them.
Not anymore, Dad. No, I mean, I'm an adult woman. It's fine.
I don't know.
I had to deal with me when I was a teenager. I'm like, I had a giant Aragorn stand up in my bedroom. He was like, I'm uncomfortable with this. Yeah. But yeah, obviously it was a Doctor Who style alien. I'd be really into it. Technically, Han Solo's an alien too. But please and thank you. But no thank you to the tall whites. No thank you to the grays. No thank you to the weird probes.
Okay, I'm still going to need you to watch the show The People of Earth.
Oh, no, okay, so when I was doing my research in this, apparently in the background of one of the episodes of People of Earth, there's a photo of Betty and Barney Hill, and it says the Cosmos first couple, or first couple of the Cosmos, kind of a thing under. So like there's like a lot of like cutesy little references to them here and there, because if you're a big fucking nerd and know too much about UFO stuff, you've known who Betty and Barney Hill are. So like if you're writing a People of Earth thing, yeah, they've definitely done some research into Betty and Barney.
Yeah. It's a great show though. I feel like you would really like it. Anyone that's listening,
I would love to watch it.
If you like alien stuff, like definitely watch it. It's such a good show. It's really sad that it got canceled.
There's a MUFON show too on Netflix. I can't remember what it's called.
That's helpful.
God damn it. I'm really good at this.
I will say though that like other alien stuff that's been interesting, like I think it's funny you started talking about this. I've been listening to the Men in Black episodes of the last podcast on the left, and those were awesome. So, and it brings up kind of a point, they bring it up in theirs, which is like, you know, with the Men in Black, is it a
tulpa?
Yes, correct. Right. So maybe are these aliens like tulpas? Like, are we creating more of them? Like, right? Or is it somebody coming through space and time? Like, is that future humans from like 1,000 years from now that somehow were able to
got back there? Yeah.
Come back through time.
So another thing that's interesting to me, which is how I came up with the term Phalian today, while I was sitting on the porch and just sort of drinking a cup of coffee and staring off into space. And I was listening to an episode of Lore that was about Betty and Barney Hill and like a bunch of different like abduction things. Lore is an excellent podcast that I don't need to plug because everyone knows about it.
Same with the last podcast, but that's okay. Go
what?
Ahead. I said same with last podcast.
Yeah, no, everyone knows about
Everybody
them.
Knows.
They're great. And if you don't know about them, what the fuck are you doing here? But stay, you know, we love you. But yeah, in Lore, they were talking about how in every culture all across the world, every single place from like, what are they, Pukwudgies in North American, like Native North American folklore, to the Hildefolk of Iceland, to the Wee folk, all sort, like everywhere has its own smaller version of people that show up and do things. So I've said it before and I'll never stop saying it. It could just be that's how we're seeing aliens now. Like that's what aliens are. It's how we, with this modern technology and in this modern world, it's how the Fae are now presenting themselves to us.
That's an interesting theory. When you say Phalians, I thought you meant that's like an alien who really sucks at being an alien. Like they fail at being aliens.
No, it's an F-E-Y-lian, a Phalian.
F-E.
Stop. Because it's Fae.
Oh, I thought Fae was spelled F-A-E.
It can be spelled however you can figure out how to spell it. You can shove that little A-E thing together and then stick a Y on the end. Yeah. You can do however you want. F-E-Y is how I see it a lot, or F-A-E, or F-E-A.
It's an interesting theory, though, that it's just Fae presenting themselves. I mean, it could be anything, right? Like, that's a thing.
To be interdimensional versus intergalactic.
I think the tulpa thing's really interesting, though. You know, or even the Fae are tulpas or whatever. They've just shifted over time because our perception has shifted, right? People don't see fairies anymore for the most part, I would say, but they see aliens all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And do we need to explain what a tulpa is?
No, if you don't know what a tulpa is, do fucking
I feel like we
should.
A tulpa is like basically a creature that's created from collective belief, right? So in Peter Pan, when Tinkerbell is dying and everybody's like, I do believe in fairies. I do,
I
do. And you clap and all that. It's like you're creating that belief to keep that thing alive. So a tulpa is basically like you put enough energy into something. I think are poltergeists considered tulpas? Like,
I think that a tulpa is created intentionally.
Okay.
Like a poltergeist is more of a manifestation of energy, whereas a tulpa is something that you are kind of like putting your intent, like purposefully putting your intention into to specifically create.
Yeah. It's fun.
I think. I don't know. I didn't do any research into tulpas this week.
I'm sorry. I got you sidetracked. But I do think it's an interesting theory for aliens, though.
Right?
So I'll probably continually bring it up.
I'm going to need you to keep using the term Phalian.
Phalians. Until it's trending. That's just hashtag
just
Phalians.
Say it. If we just say it a bunch of times, we're like, it's Phalians now, guys. That's what they are. They're Phalians.
So on that note, do we have anything else to add to this topic?
God, so much, but no. I should be done.
For next time.
Yeah. Next time I've got so yeah, dear listeners, Megan is in school. So I'm gonna be driving the bus off the cliff this whole summer with our summer series on aliens. I've got a lot of fun stuff up my non-existent sleeves that I'm excited to share with you guys. And we want to make sure that it gets out there, not just to you, our loyal listeners of 12, but to the masses as well. So if you would please like, share, subscribe, leave us reviews on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts,
Spotify.
Comment on Spotify. I don't think you can leave comments on Spotify. I don't know how Spotify
You can follow us though on Spotify.
You could follow us on Spotify, and please do.
Yeah.
You can leave us nice comments on YouTube, or if you want to keep into the theme with what YouTube is, you could leave us shitty weird comments in all caps.
Love it.
We would love that. We would love it. You could send us an email to tinhattimepodcast@gmail.com and tell us about that time that you saw an alien.
Yes, please do that. Please send us your weird stories. Anything at all. You saw Sasquatch. You have a friend who saw a troll under a bridge. Who cares? Just tell us the story. So
you felt a weird hand touch the back of your neck one time and you looked around and then there was nobody there. Tell us about it. We want to know, man. We want to know, and we want to share your stories with the world. Yeah.
I mean, even if you've seen something interesting on Reddit or something, send it to us.
Right? Like, it doesn't have to be your personal story. Like, Kevin, if you would please fucking email me the thing about the hellscape hole or whatever it is that you were telling me about the other day. Email it to me. Don't text it to me personally. Email it to me at
tinhattimepodcast@gmail.com.
tinhattimepodcast@gmail.com. And then follow us on Instagram at tinhattimepodcast. And we'll never be on TikTok, so don't even bother.
Yeah.
And
that's it. Thanks guys.
Thanks for being here with us this week.
We'll see you next week. So thanks again.
Yeah.
Okay.